Good evening, everybody. This is John Scarborough. I wanted to do a little update on this little deal that we did for this tree. This is a persimmon tree. We did a little deal where I showed y'all how to put all of this up, showed y'all where I put it all up. This is below a little deer stand we've got up here. It's just a little bow stand, and I'm planning to do a few more of these trees in here, and I'm also planning to do possibly a few more trees in strategic places in this pasture. This pasture is over here. This is our place over here. We're going to get this, and I think we're just going to plant some different types of fruit trees and nut trees that are going to make some good it's partially shade for the cattle, but while you're growing all that shade and you pulling all that nutrients from the soil, you might as well be producing some food that could be good food for you in hard times that could be coming, you know. Even if it's food that you don't really like all that much, like these Fuyu persimmons, I like them pretty good, but they're not my favorite. I do like them okay. They're better than some of the sour persimmons, the wild persimmons. We have quite a few of those wild persimmons that I saved. You can see a lot of them along here. These are different wild persimmons I saved. We're going to pull those trees up and transplant them along the creek there, and that way they're not in our pasture because I don't really want them there, but we're going to transplant them over here, and that way we can kind of hold that little creek. This is just a runoff from a pond, this little small creek that runs through our place. It's not even technically it's a creek, it's just a runoff. But we're going to have that there. I don't really like them that much, but the cattle do like them. They eat them, so I would rather have shade that feeds animals and people. So it's good emergency food too. But I like these persimmons a little bit more. But the wonderful thing about persimmons is they're extremely hardy. They do not require a lot of nitrogen. In fact, they require so little that if you overfeed them, they'll actually shed their fruit for the year. So they're very low maintenance. They do not require a lot. But I really wanted to do this update on this video to show y'all how well this has come out. I had a comment not too long ago talking about that, and I just wanted to show you. I mean, there's no damage here. I don't think there's anything here. I mean, I don't think it's been moved. I don't think there's any issues. I mean, we've had some bulls. I've seen some bulls scratch on it and everything. But that's about it's about 5.5 foot tall there. You know, it's pretty good. I got flagging on it, so if ever I come out here, you know, if I ever get, this was all clear cut back over here, so sometimes it still grows up pretty good. And just in case, you know, you can see these old weeds, these I forget what these are called, but these are some big old woody things that will grow up very quickly. You can't hardly see it sometimes, so I got flagging on it so I don't hit it with a brush hog. But that has turned out very well. What I will do here in just a little bit, I'm not going to do it yet, and I'll tell you why in just a second. What I will do here in just a little bit is I will reach inside and I'll trim all of these things out so that they don't get too big. And what I'll do this year is I'll actually put some hay or wood chips or something inside of there. I don't want to do too much, okay? But I want to caution you not to do that too soon. It's really good to do that because you can suppress some weeds. But don't do it too early on in your year, especially not in a little bit more of a bottom. This is not exactly a bottom, but it's getting a little bit lower. So early in the year, early in the spring, just like we are right now, it still gets really wet, and so you can cause that to get waterlogged. So personally, for all of my trees, whether they're around my house or not, I like to wait until a little after April, maybe even coming into May, before I ever do that. So basically I let all my ryegrass grow, and this is what works for us in our area. I let my ryegrass grow, it'll grow up tall around it, and then I'll let it die and fall away. And then after the ryegrass is dead and you start to see your summer grass grow, then after that, then I'll put whatever mulch I want to do around my trees. And the reason for that is just to keep, you're letting your ryegrass grow, and that's really good for your soil, okay? And it's not going to hurt you. That in itself will suppress your weeds, okay? But B, you're not holding too much water around those roots and allowing them to become waterlogged while there's a lot of water in the soil. So then you put it in to where during the whole summer months, it will suppress those summer seeds, those summer weeds coming on, and it will also help hold some of that moisture when it needs, when you need to be holding that moisture. Okay, but back to why I love persimmons so much, along with a couple other fruits that I'll mention here in a minute, is persimmons are, like I said, they're extremely low maintenance. They are a food that's going to give you quite a few calories. They're going to provide quite a few calories. They'll provide those calories for livestock. They'll provide those calories for people if you like those calories, but they also provide emergency calories. So it's really nice to know this. If times get tough, you're going to be happy if you got stuff like this on your property, stuff that's growing and that's producing calories for very, very little input. I mean, I could leave that. We had trees growing up, several of those trees, and we always fed them to our pigs, but we also ate them ourselves. You know, there was 10 of us boys, and those trees produced a lot of fruit. I'm talking about a lot. And if we would have had a root cellar, you know, because those things, they grow late. They produce later in the year, you know. They're not like the wild ones. The wild ones are still a little bit later in the year, but these are real late, okay? So they're just about wintertime for us. Over there in East Texas they were. I think they were about November is when they were coming in. And that may be close to the same for the other ones. But the point is, you pull that out in November and you put that in a root cellar, man, you talk about something that could be some good valuable food source. Now, I don't know. You'll have to check and see if they would last in a root cellar. I do not know. But whatever the case may be, that's a lot of calories, okay? And to know that you can produce those calories without nitrogen and without fuel, and you can feed livestock and you can feed yourself, I think that's a great thing, you know. And I've had a few people put some comments on my channel when I've mentioned things like that. And what they say is, oh, well, those aren't all that great calories, or how are you going to feed livestock with that? And I'm like, I'm not talking about putting on 2 pounds a day here for cattle, okay? I'm not talking about really finishing some pigs here or some ideal food for human consumption, okay? I'm not talking about the best, most palatable food here. I'm talking about food that will get you out of a bind and save your life if you ever get in a bad place, okay? I'm telling you this from a guy that grew up and has been in this situation. I remember a time where I survived on those, okay? There was a short time in our lives growing up. We had very little food, and we'll go into those stories later. Very, very little food, okay? I remember I went through a whole week. I had 1 onion and a can of tomato paste. In the whole week, that's all I had to eat, okay? When these persimmons came on, I remember I was so grateful. I didn't have anything else, but I had those persimmons, and I ate the mess out of those persimmons, okay? So I'm not saying I put on a bunch of weight. I'm not saying that it was the protein that I needed during that time, but I guarantee you it made me feel a lot better having something in my belly, okay? So if you've never had hard times like that, if you've never felt hard times, you may not understand that, okay? And I hope that you don't ever have to see any hard times like that. But if you're going to have shade on your property anyway, it's a lot better to have a persimmon tree growing shade on your property than it is to have an oak tree dropping acorns and poisoning cattle, or something like a sweet gum tree growing on your land and not really giving you anything. It's not giving you timber. I mean, at least an oak tree is giving you some good, valuable timber, okay? But that sweet gum tree isn't really giving you anything. It's giving you a big mess, pulling lots of nitrogen, pulling all sorts of good stuff from your soil and robbing it from your grass, you know. So it's not going to help you in hard times, all right? This right here can help you in hard times, and it gives you shade for your animals. So anyway, guys, I wanted to throw that out there. I wanted to give an update on this right here. I think this is going to be great. We're about to plant a few more here. I think they're going to be really awesome. I think we're going to go with some pears. I may do some apples. If y'all know of some other ideas of some stuff, I mean, we've got other stuff that we plant in our own orchard for our own food supply, but this is not for our food supply. This is for the deer, this is for the cattle, and this is for emergency for our family. So if y'all know anything like that, you know, let us know. Put it in the comments. I'd love to see your thoughts on that. Stuff that would work really well here in North Louisiana, you know. A lot of people say apples, and we can grow some apples. And I may do some apples. I'm not sure yet. There are some varieties that do okay here. I haven't seen anything that does great. But you know, it is what it is. So anyway, guys, wanted to show this update here. This tree is doing quite well. This cage will probably come off of here once the bark starts to get splits in it. So once the age of the bark gets to where you have splits in the bark, okay? So I'm gonna show you down in here. At this stage, it's still volatile to rubs from deer, and a goat will chew on that. Some sheep will. Goat will do it just for fun. It doesn't matter if they're hungry or not. They will do it and chew that off for fun. It helps their teeth, actually, you know. So once this gets to where it's got that where the bark is tough enough to where it starts to get splits on it, you see the splitting of the bark, that's when you know that it's about tough enough. So once I see that, I'll personally probably wait another year, and then after that, I'll pull this stuff off of here. That way I can get up close to it. But before that happens, I'm not going to do that. So, all right, guys, I'm going to sign off. I've talked enough on that. I really hope that answered the questions that I've gotten about this. And if y'all have any more really good questions on there, I really am enjoying to see all of the new subscribers we got. You know, I want to welcome you guys, and I want to thank y'all so much. Y'all are really, truly the lifeblood of my channel, and I appreciate you watching this stuff and helping out. Thanks. Don't forget, like, subscribe, hit the bell.